What's up, everybody? This is Kyron Williams with the Los Angeles Rams running back. I'm super excited to see you at the Fantasy Sports Summit.
Welcome to the show, guys. Back in the backyard. Got an exciting episode here for you. We are talking about 5 of the most overvalued fantasy football players in 2024 that you may want to avoid. These guys are extremely overpriced, overvalued, and they've got many red flags around their name. So if you are drafting these guys, you definitely want to listen to this show. If you're not drafting these guys, probably a good decision because I'm going to explain why you need to avoid these 5 players. Massive hype, massive overdraft capital, and there's better players to draft. Guys, when you are drafting any player, we're talking fantasy football draft strategy, you got to look at that player and say, man, is there red flags? Can I draft a player that's in a better situation? And if you can, then do that. Draft somebody who's more secure, okay? If you are new to the channel, guys, I'm back here in the backyard, enduring these harsh elements of a nice warm sun and fresh air. If you guys are new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it, guys. I'm out here grinding for you guys. Hit the thumbs up. Make sure you guys are subscribed and you turn on the bell. I'm doing lives in the evening during the week. We got the 7 a.m. show every single morning here for you guys. And we go year round, okay? Breaking news for fantasy football, NFL news. Everything you guys need is right here in one spot, and actual advice that's going to help you win. So hit the thumbs up. Lion mentality, guys. It's going to put you guys light years ahead of the sheep. Also, if you guys don't know, I'm looking at the calendar, under a week away. Next Wednesday, upcoming, guys. August 21st, from the comfort of your home, guys. Just all you got to do is fire up your computer. We're actually having a fantasy sports summit. We're going to have Kyron Williams, Trey Benson, Tajay Spears, Rashid Shaheed, and more. It's going to be a live podcast, okay? Grab your ticket below or head on over to thefantasyfootballcouncil.com. Tickets are limited, guys. Grab a ticket to the summit right now. You don't want to miss this. And also, grab the 16-round draft solution. You can combo both of these together for the best deal. I'm going to get all the sleepers, breakouts, optimal players to draft in each round. Everything laid out on a silver platter for you. Grab 16 rounds right now, guys. You'll be light years ahead of the sheep in your leagues. All right, guys? Grab it below. I've linked everything below, okay? Hit the thumbs up. Let's get to the first player here. I'm excited to dive in. The first player, guys, you need to avoid, and again, a lot of these guys have high ceilings. Don't get me wrong. Well, some of them do anyway. The first guy does, and the second guy does. And that's it. 2 of the 5 guys have major ceilings, which I'm going to explain in a second. First guy is Anthony Richardson. I'm avoiding this guy big time. Let me explain why. I looked at all these guys' stats, particularly Anthony Richardson, and it's like drafting a rookie quarterback. We have not seen anything that Richardson can do. We saw that in the 4 games he played, or 3.5 games that he played, he had 3 passing touchdowns. He had 4 rushing touchdowns in those games. So what did we learn? We learned that he rushes the ball a lot, which is great. But usually with quarterbacks that rush the ball a lot, you are susceptible, guys, to what? What are you guys susceptible for? You guys know injury, a ton of injury. And he got hurt last year. No coincidence, right? Is he an injury-prone quarterback? That's a question you have to ask yourself. The problem is that he's 48th overall, and he's QB5. What business does he have being QB5 when he hasn't done anything in the NFL? I see more upside with Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels or a bunch of other sleeper quarterbacks, which I mentioned in the 16-round draft solution, that you can get later if you really want a quarterback that's going to anchor your team. Now, I do recommend this year, based on the way the drafts are going, that you anchor your team with an ace quarterback like a Josh Allen, which again I explained in 16 rounds, because there's a lot of wide receiver guessing games going on and running back games going on in those early rounds 2 to 5. And then there you want to get those secure picks. Now, again, Richardson's coming off in those rounds, and I don't think he's secure. That being said, I definitely do a ceiling. With high ceiling, there's a lot of risk, right? And that's what you're doing. Guys, here's some advice for you. Whenever you're drafting a quarterback to anchor your team, make sure you draft a quarterback that's proven, and there's a ton of them at that position. The quarterback position is that position that you can see. You get there's so much data and proof of concept that these guys, you know what you're going to get. You know what you're going to get out of Jalen Hurts. You know what you're going to get out of Pat Mahomes for the most part. He had a bit of a down year last year. You know what you're going to get out of Josh Allen for the most part, right? So you don't want to, I don't mind Richardson. If I got Richardson as my backup quarterback in round 10, the same thing I did the year Mahomes broke out. I had Mahomes as my backup the year he had that big monster year where he broke out, where everybody was sleeping on him. If I get Richardson as my backup, sure. Why not? But I still think he's risky even as a backup. So I think he's totally overvalued, totally overhyped. Again, that being said, there is a ceiling there. It's a major risk. If you want to invest a round 4, round 5 pick on a quarterback that's unproven, that got hurt last year, you go ahead and do that, but I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. So Richardson, way overhyped for something we haven't seen. And remember, anchor your team with an ace quarterback that is proven. You could do that. There's a ton of quarterbacks that are solid that you don't have to worry about, okay? You want to minimize the red flags. Number 2 here, and I kind of see the hype on this guy, but we got to have a discussion here about Devon Achane, okay? Finished 24th last year, all right? Now, there's certain players that the Kinshipses like and they like to ride. And Devon Achane is currently sitting as RB10 in PPR. It's not a question mark. He's actually sitting as RB10. I'm questioning it because I think that's crazy. 36 overall. You are spending a third round pick on this guy. I see him coming off as early as late second, as early as late second, as late as fourth round. So I say round 3 is kind of the average for this guy, I would say, give or take around, depending on how people are in your league. But he's a top 10 running back according to Kinshipses rankings. Now, let me tell you why he's there, and let me tell you why I'm avoiding him, okay? Last year, 103 attempts, okay? In those attempts, which wasn't a lot, he had 800 yards, 7.8 yards per carry, and 8 touchdowns. Those are great stats for such a limited amount of time. That being said, injury sets in, the guy is out, the guy's a speedster, but that's not my main concern. I was just reading in camp because I get updates to my phone from beat writers, and I'm tapped in, I'm tuned in. Mostert broke up for a solid run. He's running hard, man. Even the coaching is saying that Mostert is still going to be the starter. And, again, you're kind of getting that same type of situation with Gibbs and Montgomery, and I kind of see what they're doing here, But I would rather get more secure running backs early that don't have to worry with a committee. You get the explosiveness out of Gibbs, and I love Gibbs, right? But he's now dealing with a hamstring injury, and then you got this guy who's had injuries in the past, and he's a top 10 guy. And they drafted a guy out of Tennessee who's a speedster. I looked at his stats in his last year of college out of Tennessee. Jalen Wright, round 4 pick. If you draft a running back in round 4, you're going to use him. 1,000 yards rushing last year in Tennessee, and he caught the ball 22 times. The guy can rush, the guy can catch, and he's fast. They drafted him. Mostert coming off a 209 attempt, 18 touchdown, 1,000 yard rushing season. That is something you should be aware of. I mean, he's still there. Now, if Mostert was gone, okay, if Mostert was shipped off, or I know Mostert gets hurt a lot, he's kind of injury prone as well, but if Mostert was completely off this roster, I'd be like, hey man, yeah, I kind of see the appeal of Achane. There's a ton of ceiling. There still is a ton of ceiling, but I think it's capped a little bit with Mostert with 209 attempts last year. He's going to steal a lot of the goal line work. And then you've got the drafting acquisition of Jalen Wright, who's also a speedster in his own right. It's going to be a committee. You got an explosive offense. That being said, it works bad and, it works good and bad. The good news is you got Tyreek and Waddle who's going to spread the defenses out, open things up for Achane. But then you also have to worry about the target dilution with such great targets like Tyreek, Waddle, and all the other guys, okay? So I think Achane, again, based on the only 103 attempts last year, is way overpriced. That being said, I still see a ceiling there, but I'm completely out on him. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, okay? Very, very important. If this is making sense to you, which it is, because I thought common sense, everyone's just draft on rankings. I rank this guy there. You just got to draft him on ADP. If it's making sense to you and you're thinking outside the box, like, something's making sense, hit the thumbs up, smash it, guys, tap it, hit the thumbs up, and grab 16 rounds. 16 round drafts, which as soon as you sign up, guys, you're going to get an email. In that email, you're going to get access to all my sleepers, breakouts, optimal players. This is the game changer. I'm really just not shy on pushing this because I know it's the truth. It works every single season. You guys are going to have an ironclad roster. Grab 16 rounds. I am completely shameless on that plug because I totally believe in the system. And 16 rounds is the truth, and rankings are completely done. Don't draft based on rankings. You will lose your league, okay? All right, the third guy here, number 3, is James Cook. RB14, 45 overall, round 3 to 4 ADP, which is crazy. Here's why I'm staying away from him. They drafted Ray Davis, 4th round. The guy's a beast. I mean, he's had his fumbling issues as well, but James Cook is dealing with fumbling issues. Ray Davis had a couple issues here and there, but not as bad as what James has been doing in training camp here. RB14, the guy finished 12th last year amongst running backs. This is a direct copy and paste. They're not taking the fact that this guy only had 2 rushing touchdowns last year. They're not taking the fact that Allen had 15 rushing touchdowns last year. They're not taking the fact that they signed Frank Gore Jr. They're not taking the fact that they signed a 4th rounder in Ray Davis, who's a beast and can be a goal line vulture. I mean, without Ray Davis there, who I think is a capable RB1, could steal the job. James Cook finished 12th and only had 2 rushing touchdowns. The fact that he's being overhyped and overdrafted is ludicrous. I mean, it's going to be a committee, and you got Josh Allen at that goal line, which I think Allen's going to see a bit of a regression. Those 15 touchdowns was a little steep, but you are overpaying significantly for James Cook. I'm completely off James Cook. I wouldn't even draft James Cook if you gave him to me in the 10th round. I have no desire to draft him. I don't care for him. I don't think he's that good of a running back. Again, 237 attempts, 2 touchdowns. Okay? I mean, that's not good, guys. That is not good. So, James Cook, I'm out. Very, very overpriced. The fact that he's RB14 is absolutely ludicrous. Save your draft pick on this guy. There's no ceiling there, okay? The last 2 are receivers, okay? And these 2 are absolutely crazy, particularly number 4. And if you are familiar with the channel, you hear me talk about this guy a lot. And I know that if this guy takes off and breaks out and is amazing, I'm going to hear it a lot. They'll be like, oh, you told me no Nico Collins round 2. And that's the next guy is Nico Collins. Coming off round 2 as late as round 3. He doesn't get past that 3rd round. Typically coming off round 2, though, okay? Wide receiver 17. 26 overall. So like I said, round 2, people grab him up there, early round 3. Okay, finished 12th last year. Let's talk Nico Collins here, okay? And here's why I don't believe at all he's going to... This is very, very important, guys, okay? We're talking about a 2nd-round pick that everybody's hyped on. I was telling you to draft this guy. He was like wide receiver 55 last year, okay? I was like, draft Nico, draft Dell. Dude, I mean, the value there, you guys are going to be solid. Now this year, 2nd round, are you crazy? Finished 12th last year, 109... Guys, this is very, very important, okay? 109 targets. That sucks. That is 25th in targets, okay? 1,297 yards, that's good. 8 touchdowns, that's good. 80 receptions, meh, that's okay. 109 targets, guys. Let's think logically here, okay? That's 25th in targets. Now, this is where the logic and common sense comes in. And this is where even if he becomes a top 5 wide receiver or top 10 or wherever he's coming off, top 12, right? Which is, or whatever they've got him ranked at. He's a top 10 wide receiver, whatever. Top 15. Even if he finishes top 15, I don't care. Why don't I care? Because I'm looking at the red flags. They brought in Stephon Diggs, who's a target hog. Tank Dell is healthy. Tank Dell is probably the wide receiver 1 on this team. The fact that the target dilution is not being talked about, and everybody is telling you draft this guy round 2 to 3. I'm seeing mock drafts. I'm seeing the consensus. I'm seeing the magazines. Right? This guy is not outside the top 15 on all rankings. This guy is a 2nd to 3rd rounder. The fact that nobody's talking about that he was 25th in targets last year, okay? Only 80 receptions, and now he's ranked way higher, and they brought in Diggs and Dell's healthy and Schultz, and Mixon is there. Okay? Now, even if you look at a guy like CJ Stroud, I think he's like 14th in passing attempts. He's not even a top 5, top 10 quarterback in passing attempts. Now, that should go up this year for sure. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot more, I would assume. But even with that, you're getting major target dilution with Stephon Diggs. So, even if let's say Diggs wasn't there, you're still looking at a guy with 109 targets. Maybe he gets an uptick. He gets to 120 targets without Diggs there. But with Diggs there and a healthy Dell, his targets can only go down unless he is force-fed by CJ Stroud, which is viable, but that would really tick off Diggs, and I don't see that happening. Diggs also doing really well in camp. I heard him and CJ Stroud are connecting really, really well, and we saw Dell with that amazing touchdown in preseason week 1. All these signs are indicating, guys, this does not look good at all for Nico Collins, and I'm completely out on him. He is way overpriced, way overhyped. I liked him last year when he was coming off for free after round 14, okay? And the last guy here, I don't see the hype at all. Don't get it at all. Hit the thumbs up, guys. I want everybody to hit the thumbs up. Helps the channel. Takes 2 seconds of your time. I want to get this message out to the masses because nobody's talking about the common sense here. But Christian Kirk, wide receiver 26, 50th overall. Absolutely ludicrous for a guy. 5th, 6th round. Crazy. Ridley came. Here's why I don't like Kirk. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Last year, by the way, finished 47th. The Consheepses are assuming because it's a familiar name that he's got to be ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. By the way, Brian Thomas Jr., is ahead of Christian Kirk. I'd rather just get Brian Thomas Jr. later and get the wide receiver one than get Christian Kirk. There's some advice for you. That right there is enough value to help you guys get a massive advantage over the sheep. Christian Kirk submitted the wide receiver one position. He was never a true wide receiver one to begin with. That's why when Ridley came in, he got 136 targets compared to the 85 that Kirk had last year. Okay, what is making you think Christian Kirk is the one when Ridley came in and took that? Brian Thomas is the one. You don't draft, as an organization, you don't draft a wide receiver round one to bench him. You draft a wide receiver round one to make him the alpha on your team because you know you don't have an alpha. If Kirk was a true one, there's no way Jacksonville would have drafted Brian Thomas Jr. round one. They would have said, hey, we've got our one. The fact of that alone, the evidence of that alone, the fact that he only had 85 targets last year, the fact that he only had 3 touchdowns last year, the fact that he submitted this so-called wide receiver one role to Ridley is enough evidence to prove that Brian Thomas is going to be the one, and I'm just going to fade Kirk completely. The fact that people are telling you to draft Kirk, why he's wide receiver 26 while Brian Thomas is wide receiver 50 is ludicrous. This is why 16 rounds is the truth. This is why you guys are going to win your leagues, and this is why I am the truth, and that's why I want you guys to win your leagues, okay? So if you are new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it. Don't overpay for these guys. They are way overhyped for the reasons I stated. You got to be careful with your rosters, okay, guys? Subscribe, thumbs up. I appreciate you guys being here, and I'm telling you guys, to be light years ahead of the sheep, you got to get 16 rounds. And, of course, I'll see you at the Fantasy Sports Summit Wednesday, August 21st, 7:30. Grab your tickets below, all right? Don't overpay, guys. Look for the red flags. Have yourself an outstanding day, guys. I'm out.